Today, I'm sitting down with the founder and CEO, Man of War, a national male empowerment platform with many different divisions under it that's really elevating male leadership across the nation. Please welcome Rafa Conde. Rafa, thanks for jumping on the show today.
Hey, thank you for having me on. It's an honor. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks. I like to start the show with the same question as Rafa. What's your morning routine?
Oh boy, I call it the Warriors Hour. 4:30 out of bed, put my 2 feet on the ground, say grace, thank you for everything that I have, run into a cold shower for 2 minutes, and then I'd like to do my sitting meditation, usually about 10 minutes, and then I jog over to the gym, do my weightlifting, sometimes cardio, and then run back home and then start the day. No coffee involved in that process.
No coffee, just straight,
Yep.
mindset stuff. Love that. Love that. How many miles is the gym away?
It's about 1.25 miles.
Nice. So you get a 2.5 mile run in
Yeah. Yep.
every morning.
Every morning.
Okay, so let's dive into the questions here. So you were making nearly $1 million a year on Wall Street, and then you decided to walk away from all that. When you decided to walk away, what was the catalyst for that?
Hey man, every time I hear that, I cringe. Even now, still, I cringe. So yeah. Oof. Well, that was a time in my life. I guess it was a season in my life, really, where I just felt like I needed to serve. 9/11 had just happened. I saw the police officers and the firefighters, run up the buildings and put their lives at risk, and many of them died. And but really, surrounded these individuals in such a way they honored them. And I'm like, man, I want to be one of those. I want to do that. I want to serve for a greater purpose. So I had been on Wall Street as a stockbroker for almost a decade at that time. And I said, you know what? Like, I need to do something better. I need to do something that will really change lives, that'll change my life. I need to serve for a higher purpose, as they call it. So I sat down across from my wife and I said, you know what? I want to change um, the trajectory of my life and really your life. We've been married just over a year. You're pregnant. We have one, you have one, and we have a son coming. This is going to be difficult, but I need to do this. A year after I sat down with her, she agreed. She's like, "Look, I'm your ride or die." And from there, I was hired by one of the most violent cities in the United States, Riviera Beach Police Department. And well, from there, I did 18 and a half years as a police officer, and most of my career was narcotic undercover. I was assigned to several task forces, including the Multi-Agency Diversion Task Force, the DEA Tactical Diversion Squad. I was part of the Ice Blue Lightning Task Force. I was part of different task forces which were local in the community. But across the board, man, I did a lot of time, doing this undercover gig.
Wow. Now, how did your identity start to unravel once you left the money, the status, and all the comfort behind?
Well, I was riding it high on Wall Street. I started at a time where you would throw a dart, hit the Wall Street Journal, and stocks would go up, especially tech stocks, right? And it was, the time of chop houses on Wall Street, times of Jordan, Belfort and the Stratton Oakmont and firms like that. So, the brokers were highly regarded individuals. They were young guys that were making more than doctors and lawyers, back then. So, but I built from the ground up. Really, I started uh, learning the business model, understanding how to close, understanding the really the rhythm of the business, and studied stocks, companies in and out. I studied the charting very, very, very. I mean, I was highly focused on charting, and those technical analysis just brought that fire in me. And well, I built from then on. I mean, I went independent. I had a brokerage firm with 17 brokers. Started managing almost approximately $480 million which probably today would be very close to $1 billion. And this was active trading money, right? Active. This wasn't the financial consultants save it for 25 years. This was very, very highly active money. So made a lot of money along the way. Was a multi-million dollar producer for many years. Had some great relationships, and then all of a sudden, you have a beautiful house, beautiful cars, you pretty much have it all, and you just say, well, screw it all, and I'm going to go out there now, and I'm going to be a cop for $38,000 a year.
That's crazy. I mean, what is that feeling like to lose your house, your cars, like, a lot of what you thought was the dream at the time, and you had just started a family fresh out of, a prior relationship.
Yeah, I mean that's tough, man. That's tough. When you say lose your house and you lose your cars, let me be very clear on that. It's not like they just, we decided to move away from that, right? It was more about I actually lost them in foreclosure. I lost my cars in, repossessions. I mean, I was going downhill at 100 miles an hour. The wake up call was when I'm out in my patrol car, and I get a call from my wife and says, I just left Starbucks. I walked out and I don't see my car here. Somebody stole it. And at that moment, I realized that it's not that they stole it. They repossessed that car because I wasn't able to make the payments.
Whoa.
She's there with a little baby in her arms, and I'm sitting there in the patrol car. I really can't do anything about it at that moment. So I had to call my dad, please go grab her. And it was embarrassing, shameful in many ways for me. I decided to walk down this road and leave everything as far as I knew it behind. But hindsight, looking back at it now, it was very powerful. It was a very powerful transition in my life. I don't think I would be the man that I am today if I didn't go through that.
I just don't understand the logic to leave something like. I know that you knew that there was greater pastures on the other side of what you're doing, and you weren't finding fulfillment, in the space that you were in. But the catalyst to go into something so different and not stay in the financial sector,
Yeah.
to pursue something, was it a dream? Was it a
Well,
calling?
yeah, I think more than anything, it was a calling. My cousin had been part of the DEA task force. He was a cop for Miami PD for a very long time, for the city of Miami, actually. And I admired him since I was very young. And inside of me, I've always had this urge to serve. Um, I went into Wall Street not knowing what it was about, into into the market, being a stockbroker, really. But I learned it. I loved it. And at that time, let's put it this way, um, the love towards the end of my career, the love of trading and making money and just it became it was so up and down with the market. At that time, I remember the market crashed and then it went back up, and then it was all over the place, and it started to wear on me. And then you get to the point where you question, right, your ethics, because you're like, hey man, I need to bring home a paycheck for my family, right? Okay. I can't go, months and months without commissions when this market. So, you get into this mindset where you're thinking, man, I got to move money. I got to create. I got to figure. I have to. So it just didn't sit right with me, and I felt like moving in this direction. I knew it was going to be tough, man. I knew it. But moving in this direction, it was going to change me as a man. It was going to help me become really the man that I felt that I could be, because I felt like I was lacking some of that edge. I've never really been tested too much. I was always part of the martial arts world. I studied it for a very long time, training and training and training, but I really, really was never tested in the realities of life. Um, and being a cop, boy, it woke me up.
If you could go back, like, what's one moment? Because law enforcement's crazy, I'm sure, in Miami. That's where I got Miami PD, right? But what's one moment from your early law enforcement career that tested your resolve or broke you wide open?
Oh my goodness.
I mean, sure, there's a lot, but
My
if you could
friend, I
think
could
of
sit
one.
here and tell you so many pivotal points in my career that changed my life. Everything from, um, you know, having a young man's head, on my hands like this, right, and he's breathing. His brain is partly blown out. His head is, and this kid's just looking at me and gargling and looking at my face, and I'm the last person that he ever sees before he dies. And this is a response to a drive-by shooting in a house, right? And you're there and you're thinking, "My God, like, this is real, this is raw, this is happening." And things like that, they freak you out, been in gunfights, been in situations where, you're chasing people in the middle of the night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and you're there fighting, the guy has a handgun, you're trying to fight, in the middle of an alleyway, and your backup, it's, 2, 3 minutes away, which is an eternity, right? I did a lot of stupid things as a rookie, and I had a lot of energy. I mean, I would be out there 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, jumping fences, chasing guys, going into the worst parts of a neighborhood. And we worked at a very low socioeconomic class neighborhood. It was predominantly a black area, and it was just funky stuff, man. I look back and I'm like, wow, I did all that. That's crazy. I would never do that again.
You made it through. You made it through. That sounds unreal what you experienced, but I'm sure that wisdom in that journey has been a big catalyst to starting Man of War. It's like, tell me a little bit about, like, what is Man of War, and let the audience know what it is, how you serve men, and how they should get involved.
Well, I was a police academy instructor for over 2 years, and, I love teaching the police academy. I taught high liability, I taught, firearms, and it was a very for me, it was a great experience for me to give back. But what I started to see was that the young men that were coming through the police academy were weaker and weaker, and women right off the bat, they were, stronger than men. I mean, they were doing things that most men were not able to do that were coming to the police academy. So I stopped for a moment and I started thinking, man, what about the warrior spirit in a man, right? The fight, the desire, the ambition, the protective nature in a man. So I started a podcast, Man of War podcast, and this is back in 2017, and it took off. It was, in society and noteworthy. It was up there, and for 8 weeks, it did great. A lot of people started emailing me, DMing me. I started speaking about my philosophy of how a man should be in this planet, how he should live. And there's a lot of programs out there that focus on building more masculine men, and we focus on forging men into excuse me, into warriors. So, so these men that I built from the ground up, a lot of these men were missing. A lot of these men were missing the uh, the edge. They were missing the how do I say it? The certain drive in their minds, in their bodies, in their so they were missing really discipline. And the situation really that happened to me when I was in this particular police academy, I started talking to men and they didn't even know what the warrior spirit was about. They didn't even understand what really being a warrior was all about, what battle, what really survival on the street was all about. But the bottom line is that thank you. And I need this here next to me at all times, please. um, the certain battle, these individuals didn't get that, and these were cops that were moving forward, um, in the streets, but they didn't have that edge. So what I started doing was focusing on forging these men into warriors, giving them the discipline, giving them a code, giving them a way of life, having them understand that they can overcome the most difficult challenges in life, push themselves beyond their self-imposed limits, to get around great men, to surround themselves with greatness. And we started building these warriors for business also, from a perspective of, look, you're entrepreneurs, you go out there, you build empires, you forge forward, you learn how to negotiate, you learn how to have command presence, you learn how to enter a room and own it. I mean, I can go on and on. So the bottom line is, it was more than anything else, it was more about the warrior spirit rather than masculinity. It was about redefining and re-energizing that. So from there, I built a very strong following of men who were really focused on resurgence of that warrior spirit. I wrote a book, a best-selling book, and from there, it's taken off. So that is our philosophy here, really, to forge warriors.
I love that. And the reality is every successful entrepreneur is a warrior. There's no way you're not, you know, someone who has warrior spirit engraved in you and you're a successful entrepreneur. Every person I've had on my podcast is a warrior because they've fought the good fight to get to where they're at.
Yeah.
The caveat, the hardest part about that, and this is probably the solve that you had with the group that you have for sons, is we get to a level of success because we had to fight. We come from poverty. We're immigrants and yada yada. And then our sons are born in abundance, and they don't
Yeah.
have the same fight. So how do we teach that warrior spirit to the next generation who don't have to fight like we did?
Yeah. I believe you have to build a strategic structure in your home. You gotta have a framework, right? You have to be able to say, "Hey, listen, look, um, times now, we came up at a different time. We had to put in the time, the work, the effort. We didn't have someone holding our hands. So sure, you wanna help your kids out as a father, but the best way you can guide your kids is to give them little pieces, okay, and let them figure out the other side. So one of the things that I've always told my sons is, listen, I'm going to give you, maybe 30%. You're going to have to figure the other 70% out yourself. Okay. But, you give them a push, right? You give them because out of love, you want them to succeed. But at the same time, out of love, sometimes you have to want them to fail too, because that's the only way that they're going to learn. We talk about successes all the time. Everybody wants to, ring the bell, success, success, success. But wait a minute, really what defines a man in the end is his struggles. And I will argue this all day long because, I have metrics and analytics. I've coached over 10,000 men, probably 11,000 men at this point, and I can tell you that every man that has made anything of himself has gone through extremely difficult situations in his life. It doesn't matter where, relationships, business, parenting, maybe vices, from drinking and drugs, they've overcome a tremendous amount. Now, the thing that we have going on in our world right now, unfortunately, is that everybody wants, a piece of cheese, you know, and for free. Hey, let's catch on the way up. No, sometimes you have to build it on the way down. And unfortunately, it hurts because that's when you start losing. That's when you start feeling uncomfortable. You start realizing that, man, maybe you're not putting in the time and the effort. But I believe that when you rip a man's soul from him and you give him the opportunity to rise up, he'll be the strongest version of himself times 100.
Now, let me ask you this. You rose through the SWAT, the narcotics, federal ops. What did those experiences teach you about leadership under those extreme pressure situations?
You name it. I mean, we're talking about leading from the front, making sure that your head is on a swivel, dotting your I's, crossing your T's. Obviously, organization crucial. Making sure that you can. This is probably one of the biggest delegation, right? Sometimes as a leader, you don't want to delegate anything because you think you can do it better than anyone, but in reality, you can't do everything. So you're going to have to figure your way out. So delegation, making sure that everyone knows their expectations. These are all critical components of really building, yourself up as a leader and really being able to lead a squad, right? And I would say number one thing, make sure that everybody knows your mission, right? Because we have so many great leaders out there, and they're great. They'll lead people, but nobody really knows their mission. And that's a lack of communication. So a good leader communicates his mission. What is the objective? What are the goals? How are we getting there? That way, everybody's on the same page. And when you're able to do that, when you have that capability, man, you are, let's put it this way, you have grown to be a very, very strong leader.
Now let's dive into the biggest misconception people have about masculinity. How does Man of War challenge that?
Well, misconception there is that there is such thing as toxic masculinity, and let's get real for a moment, okay? I mean, just go back in time. Men have built this planet from the ground up. Uh, and I respect women to the point where, I mean, I have a daughter, and my wife is an unbelievable woman. She's supportive. She's on my side. She pushes me. She holds me accountable. But the reality is that, you as a man build a framework in your home, and you are the protector and you are the provider. And your family is going to rely on you. The moment that a man, which in my opinion is the king of his castle, abdicates his role as a king, okay, he passes down that role to his wife. And there is in no way, shape, or form that a woman can and should lead a household with the man inside that household. It's completely backwards, and we've seen relationships completely fall apart because of that. So what we do here and why people are sometimes critical of what we do is that we give men the crown back. We give them the opportunity to be kings, to rise up, to lead their families. Now, keep in mind that we don't give it to them just because we say they're men. We give it to them because they've earned it. And once they earn that crown, they can go home and start leading from the front with love, with tenderness, but at the same time, with conviction and drive and power. And if you can balance that type of masculinity, you're going to have a thriving, very, very thriving relationship and be able to be a great father.
I mean, it's hard to balance that now because we're in this like really, misconstrued society where there's a balancing act between toxic masculinity. You don't want to be too toxic. You don't want, this hyper political environment. Not so much in Florida, but like here in California where your masculinity you got to just kind of tread lightly. Or you're going to upset a lot of people.
Yes.
And as leaders, like I'm a CEO, like, there's a balancing act for me, because being a public figure, even you just can't do too much to express your masculinity. How do you, you know, teach your leaders to kind of balance that to where it's not offensive?
Well, see, this is where me and you are going to be a little bit, we're going to have different angles of attack here. I don't think that you express your masculinity intentionally. Okay. I think that it becomes part of who you are, right?
Sure, man, yeah.
Right. The moment that you start trying to refrain or back down from your masculinity, I just think you do yourself a huge disservice. Now, obviously, a leader has to have that balance that you're talking about. I think that you can't be overly aggressive. mean, just look at, the way that Abraham Lincoln led. I mean, he was a very masculine alpha male, but, you never saw him really scream, or you never saw him get out of whack. But he was very poignant in the way that he spoke, very direct, very articulate. He would straighten you up really, really quickly, but he did it with finesse. I think what we are missing here in masculinity is more of that type of finesse, right? The way that we articulate ourselves, the way that we carry ourselves. I think that there's a misconception that masculine alpha males are tattooed guys with beards and muscles, and they're just like kind of apes running around and beating.
Roided out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's not at all what I rather. This is a way that I rather think I model like a man. If you look at like Sean Connery, 007, guys like John Wayne, guys like, even in the modern world, like guys like John Wick, right? He's a savage, but he's able to also be controlled in another side. It just seems to me sometimes that people they just ride each other's bandwagon, and um, eh, eh, that leaves a lot to be desired, especially in our world here. Now, I know California is actually another world. I know that there's a different type of thinking, but it's just not now. It's been around. It's been like that for 30 years, 40 years, um, and eh, uh, I have a lot of friends that live there, and I think that for the most part, we need stronger masculine role models in positions of authority, so people can see that they are not like this toxic uh, type of people that they think that they typically are. Like right now, if you look at the president, like him or not, like every masculine, everything masculine and toxic or whatever. I don't know. Look, that's up to you. That's whatever you think. But bottom line is that we need to get into a position where a man carries his weight. A woman has no business being the protector and provider in her household.
I saw the funniest meme of Donald Trump put it on the real Donald Trump of him making like Gavin Newsom like this pansy, just like hitting the boxing bag like like a girl like
Yeah,
and it was a pretty funny meme, but I'm like, that's
yeah,
California for you, like
yeah,
that's with it was a I don't want to say but you get the feeling, a
yeah,
face of Gavin Newsom. It was a meme, and it was
yeah,
like a girl swinging at you know
yeah.
a girl body swinging at a punching bag, and it was pretty
Mhm.
funny. But it was pretty indicative of the state of California that we're in. Like when I say the state, that mindset, I mean mindset that a lot of California residents have currently. We're in a hyper liberal society. A lot of people don't want to work. You got a lot of people that don't know what gender they are, what sex they are. It's a very confused place.
Have you
It's
always been there in California?
Yeah, I love California. I'm in Newport Beach. It's a secular.
That's
We're
different.
really separated.
Yes.
We're like
Y-
we're like Florida here.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Very different there for sure.
it's very different, ultra Republican. But you go down the street to LA, and I don't even let my kids step foot in LA.
But
Or
let me ask you a question. Is it because, this is what I you been there for a while?
yeah,
Okay. Is it because the people that live there have this mind shift? I mean, because I think about it, and it's like you have to vote that governor in over and over again. People have to vote him in.
yeah. Well, it's a liberal state. People are liberal here. They don't want to work. They don't want to, like the employment laws are all for condone laziness and ultra high taxes. I mean, we pay a weather tax, but it's extensive, and it's on. We try to. It's like it's kind of a socialist society for a lot of it. It's. I personally feel that the fires that happened in L.A. were divine intervention to wake L.A. up.
Wow.
You just don't burn an entire city, like,
Yeah.
and I think that was God talking to L.A.
Yeah. Yeah.
saying, "Wake up." wake up, and stop living like Sodom and Gomorrah, or I will burn this place down.
Yeah.
And he was about to.
Yeah.
So
Oh, no, it was bad, I know, it was
he
bad,
was
I
about to. I mean, he burned cities. He burned the richest people in LA. The people actually that didn't deserve it. Those are
right.
those are the people that were the most Republican, the most like a lot of them were very God fearing. I have a lot of them now are in Newport now. They all moved here.
Yeah.
So, but the Palisades was the most abundant city in Los Angeles, and
Wow, wow. Yeah, it's
um,
a sad state, man, where we have I have many friends. I have a few friends that live in San Diego, in that area, a couple of them that live in Freeport, in Newport, another one that lives in LA right now. He's about to move. I just interviewed Frank Stallone a couple of, weeks ago, you know,
that's Sylvester Stallone's brother.
yeah,
What's
he
his
was
opinion?
asked he's oh, say it again?
What's his opinion about where he lives or his?
Boy, he destroyed he destroyed it. Yes. Oh, he did. I couldn't control him for half an hour. He's attacking California and the governors and the Democrats and the liberals and LA, how it's completely different than what it was, 20 years ago, and he can't walk out of his house. I mean, I'm like, "Wow."
Wow, and is that Sylvester's opinion too?
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's, they're connected, they're very close, and that's for sure. A lot of people that live there, they because it is a beautiful, I mean, take all the crap away, and it is a beautiful state, man. Like, it's beautiful, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I mean I
The
mean, it
political environment's lousy.
yeah.
And I know Sylvester's conservative, as is Arnold Schwarzenegger, and these guys are, I mean, Sylvester should run for governor. I mean, Grant Cardone was going to run for governor here. I thought he was going to.
Interesting, interesting.
I,
Yeah.
I was so pumped, because he's just like he's great.
He will clean it up, man.
He'll
That
clean
dude's
house.
smart.
He'll clean house.
Yeah.
And he was going to make a run. He was doing a tour. Um, and he didn't formally announce it. He was just getting a lot of people to kind of voice their backing. So who knows? He still might make a run for it.
Do you think he
Because
has some support over there?
oh yeah, dude, we need. I just don't know. You see, I know all the from what I saw, there's a lot of backing, but then there's just so many people that are kind of degenerates. There's more
Yeah,
degenerates in California
yeah, yeah,
than any other state. There's tens of millions of them.
yeah.
I only know the abundant, affluent ones. Apparently, they're the ones that are doing well in society. The ones listening to this podcast.
Have you seen a lot of people move out of LA and in that area?
Yeah, yeah. I saw a lot of friends,
Yeah,
a lot of other entrepreneurs. I mean, they'll move to like Arizona. They'll move,
interesting. Yeah.
Texas, Florida is a big state people are moving to because it kind of has the same weather.
Yeah,
And
we initially, it was like, man, we saw California plates here, and we're like, "Get out." But then we start realizing is that the people that are coming here are actually pretty conservative. I just don't wanna be in that environment anymore.
yeah, but again, I'm sheltered. I'm in Newport Beach, Irvine, Orange County. For the most part, it's very conservative.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, um, but Newport is hyper conservative. Very. This is where Trump visits.
Oh,
So
no. Yeah, I deal with the Lamborghini dealership there a lot. So they're, they're good people there. Everyone that I've ever met there.
yeah. So hardworking. Yeah, we don't mess around. Everyone loves God. Everyone. Let me ask you, what does faith play in your position? Like
Huge, huge,
how
huge.
important is faith?
Everything. I mean, I gotta tell you, my wife's a pastor, her father is a pastor, very well known under Derek Prince Ministries. I mean, everything for me, it's literally,
It's life
um, without, um, getting cringy or whatever, some guys
or
may
woo
think
woo.
that,
Yeah,
but listen, I'll get down on my knees and I'll pray. I'm very much about connecting myself as close to God as possible, and I believe that, everything that I do, and I always talk, and I always say this, all the glory goes to God. No matter cars, houses, money, trips, great times, all that, all the glory, I'm only blessed because of Him.
Yeah, I've been pretty vocal. I'm Coptic Orthodox. We're the first Christian people. Are and I came to America because of religious asylum.
Yeah,
because we were being persecuted and killed off in Egypt. So I used to kind of shout it from the rooftops under the Biden administration that I'm Coptic, I'm Christian, you know, because I would relate it like, well, the transgender people get to do it. They get to raise their flag, and
sure.
you know, I got the right to do it. So I didn't care about the backlash. Now it's like, thankfully, it's a much more accepted. I don't have to like raise my Christian flag as much, but I'm pretty vocal about it because I do everything to serve God. My
Amen.
whole purpose, my objective, my life. People are like, "Why does God bless you so much?" Because like I'm here to serve.
Yep.
I exist for one reason. I don't care about money. I don't care about notoriety. I don't care about the accolades. And God just gives them. And
Yes.
then what happens? I got to like figure out how to use these resources to give back. You know.
Yes. Yes.
So
That's a great
so that
mindset. We have a
so the more
community
God gives, the
here.
more I have to give back.
Yeah. We have a good Coptic community here in Boca. Good people. A good friend of
Yeah.
mine is, yeah, this guy George Sorial. He's a good guy. He was actually Donald Trump's executive vice president. He was an attorney for him for over 10 years, and so we have a nice community here. Good people.
Yeah. I mean, the Coptics you'll always notice, and we do a CopticCon annually. It's in Boca, so we always have a bunch of Coptic entrepreneurs fly out there. Um, yeah, but I mean the Coptic people you always see because they put God first. They're always successful. There's no science here. It's just
Yeah.
fact. You put God first, and He will bless you. It's 100% certain. In America, now you could be in Kenya or a third world and have no resources or no means, and unfortunately, and those are the people that love God the most, but they just don't have the ability to become abundant. But those that serve God here first and put God here first, there's no. And people are like, why are Coptic people so successful? It's because they love and serve and do God's work.
Yeah. You
Um,
know, you mentioned abundance, which is great. That having if we have a state of mind, an abundant state of mind, it just for me, it's about just giving, man, just giving, and somehow I give and it all comes back. It's just a weird. It, it's just funny how life works, man.
I got a couple last questions for you, Rafa. What's a personal goal that you have for yourself, a family goal that you have for your family, and a business goal that you have for Man of War?
Personal goal: I want to reach 1 million. That's my goal. To actually change lives and connect with 1 million men. By the time maybe make my transition out of Man of War, or I pass away, or move on to the other side. The When it comes to family, I want to make sure that my son finishes law school. My daughter, she's going to be 13 now, coming up, and these are important times in my life where I'm transitioning my kids now to almost start, being on, my son's in college, and my youngest, my daughter now, she's probably going to transition and she's into high school, and then it's just going to be me and my wife while the kids are out of the house. So we are one of our goals for when me and my wife are is to travel the world. We really want to travel to different places. We have not had the opportunity to do so because my law enforcement career, and I just retired just over 4 years ago. So um, eh, we haven't traveled as much as we wanted to travel. So it's time in the next 4 or 5 years. My goal is to say, hey, let's go. Let's take a couple of months. We're going to go around the world.
Love that.
Now, from a business perspective, I want to expand our territory. Right now, we've expanded into Latin America. We are executing in so many countries. in Latin America, but the next step now we're moving into Europe, and we're going to take Europe by storm. So that's my focus coming up here for the next 3 years.
Love to hear that. That's great. Global expansion, baby. Let's go. Last
Yeah.
question. When you're in front of the pearly gates, what do you think God's going to tell you?
He's going to say, Rafa, you've been a man who lives with great conviction. You have screwed up many times over and over and over and over again. But in your heart of hearts, you've always honored me in everything that you have done. And I believe that's truly the way that I've lived my life. Not perfect in any way, shape, or form, very far from it, but my life has been to honor my Savior.
I love that. And I love that. God bless you. I hope you hit every single one of your goals. And the Lord continues to bless you beyond measure, abundantly,
Thank you very much.
your family.
Same to you.
If people want to find you, how do they find you?
Rafa J. Conde. You can find me pretty much anywhere: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. All over. You look for Man of War Crucible. That's MEN of War Crucible. That's our program. You can go to manofwar.us, manofwar.us. That's our website. And you'll see our programs, our culture development strategies, and we give a lot. We're not just we're not asking you to join anything. We just give you a lot of things that you can use for your life right off the bat for free. Okay, and then if you want to do your thing with us, we'll welcome you in if you're the right fit.
Love it. Thanks, Rafa. It's been an absolute pleasure. I look forward to having you back on the show. God bless you.
You, man. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.